In this multidimensional world, much of which is invisible to the eye, a group of non-physical entities have come here to expand our knowledge of how the universe works. These non-physical teachers are called Joshua, and they convey their teaching through Gary Temple Bodley. Each week, Gary, with a selection of law of attraction experts, open up a roundtable of thought-provoking discussions surrounding the teachings of Joshua. Joshua's intention is to bring clarity to the listeners through the ever-expanding law of attraction by looking at reality from a new perspective. Welcome to the teachings of Joshua Roundtable.
This is episode 23 of the Teachings of Joshua Roundtable. I'm your host, Gary Temple Bodley. Today it's March 19th, 2016. This week, Joshua received several questions about a lack of confidence at work. People were worried that they were not doing their job well enough. I even had conversations with two friends about this very same topic. One of my friends works extra hours to make sure everything is perfect, and she does much of the work herself even though she has a large staff. So let's see what Joshua has to say about it, and maybe we can get to the root of this issue. On the roundtable today, we have all of the regulars together. Steve Finizza. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Gary.
Michael Kudson. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Gary.
And Janine Kodakovich. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Gary.
Good to have you guys here. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the quote of the week. And we have a question from Alette. It's a long question, long answer, but there's a lot of real good stuff in there for this topic. And you guys have all had jobs, but I haven't really had a job. So we'll see what your perspective is, and we'll see what Joshua's perspective is. So go ahead, Janine. What is the quote?
You have come to explore the vast array of potential experiences in a landscape that has never before existed. To be born into this environment at this time means that you are already truly successful. Joshua.
So what Joshua is saying here is that Earth right now is going through this time of awakening. We're in a big shift in consciousness that's moving for the first time ever away from fear and towards love. And we're right on that line. So half the people in the world are living in fear, mostly, more, not all fear, of course, but just more in fear. And half the world are living in love. And you're seeing more and more people that are open to new ideas, that are learning about stuff like this. All the people listening to this show are in that section. And to be born in this environment at this time, where this has never been like this, there's so many different experiences, means that you chose to come here specifically for this time of unbelievable change. And, it's a big time to be here. And the fact that you're here means you're already truly successful. So trying to prove success in any other way is not necessary. All you need to do is gravitate towards the things you love to do and the things you're interested in, and find your passions. And that's the whole emphasis of Joshua's teachings really is summed up. And this quote says it all so well. What did you guys think when you read this quote? Did you have that? Were you thinking the same thing I was thinking?
I felt like I was done. I'm all done. Perfect.
Well, we're never done. We have to absorb it. But I agree. Teasing aside, I agree with Steve.
It's the perspective that you need to do more that sort of makes you feel like you're, not doing enough, I guess.
Right.
Maybe it's comparing yourself to others, or that, this whole idea about bucket list things that you have to get done in this one lifetime. It's really ridiculous. It's you do the things you want to do, not the things you think you should do to, make it one well-rounded life.
I find it comforting to know that Joshua mentions you're already truly successful. That's comforting to me. And I'd also like to say, I'd like to give a shout out to Deborah Joe, because if anyone didn't see the image that goes along with the quote, please go to the website. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, she does a great job with these ones, and she's so creative. And if you don't get on the newsletter, just go to the teachingsofjoshua.com and sign up for the free newsletter. It comes every Saturday morning, and it has the quote and the question of the week on there, so you can read along with us.
And these pictures are just so beautiful.
What she does is she finds the pictures and then she finds the photographer and asks them if we can use it this way. And they all agree. No one's ever not agreed, so it's very cool.
Yeah, they're just
Yep.
so terrific. When I get them, especially when I'm at work and I see the picture, it usually just is one of those moments.
Yeah.
And what is this one? Like a lunar eclipse? It's an eclipse.
Well, it's an eclipse. Yeah, it's like solar
Yeah,
eclipse, right?
solar.
It's like
It's
the moon is going in
absolutely
front of the
beautiful.
sun there. Yeah.
Hmm.
What- Amazing. Okay, so let's go into Alette's question, and this is about working at a job. Steve, you want to read the question?
Sure. Dear Joshua, first of all, I would like to thank you and Gary for bringing forth all this incredible practical information. I'm a longtime student of the teachings of Seth and Abraham, and now here you are to put it all in perspective. This really helps to apply it all in my everyday life. I've made it a habit to read something from your books every day, sometimes a chapter or two, and sometimes only a few pages. When things aren't working out, I try to look at the situation from my inner self's point of view, a bird's eye view, and sometimes ask my inner self to take over so as to be able to shed the irritation or anger I feel in the moment. My life is really shaping up to be better than it has ever been. However, there is one area that remains a problem, and that's my working life.
So this is good that she's learning to, see things from the higher perspective, let her inner self take over. Her inner self's not really taking over, but just that sort of communication there helps her feel better, and that's all you need to do, really.
And even acknowledging that that other perspective exists is a
Totally.
giant step.
Yeah,
So,
it's something that is such a big part of this that it gets to be a habit soon, and pretty soon when you feel that negative emotion, you can pivot to this other perspective and see it for what it really is. That you're just looking at it from a limited point of view.
Right.
That helps a lot.
Right. It's not, and to be clear, it's not a taking over. No one has to worry that they're going to have to call on the exorcist afterwards. It's a connection with the inner being.
Right. Good.
okay.
Okay.
Looking back, the problem seems to run like a thread through all the jobs I've had. It's my lack of confidence in my ability to do the job I was hired to do, irrespective of what the job actually was. Presently, I have almost the perfect job. In fact, there is nothing really wrong with it. The only thing causing trouble is me, having this feeling in the pit of my stomach each time I am given an assignment. When working on the assignment, I keep doubting whether the choices I made are correct and what people, our firm's clients, will think when they see my work. Certainly, others could do a much better job. That I've been doing this work at the same firm for more than 14 years. Logic has it that if my work were not up to par, someone would have told me by now. Logic, however, does not remove that awful feeling I carry with me to work each day.
So here she is in a job, 14 years, doing, you know, doing a good job the whole time, and still has this lack of confidence, and is still worried about the job, even though this is a perfect job. Okay.
I realize that changing jobs or my profession will not help, as this will not resolve the feeling I have. Tomorrow, classes for a study program to become a coach for young adults start. This is something completely different from my current work. When I signed up, I was confident that this was the course for me and was looking forward to it. But here too, doubt and worry are becoming more intense as the first class is getting near. Why on earth did I ever think I could do this and would be good at it as well? Well, I will see tomorrow, of course, but I would so much like to replace this awful feeling of insecurity with feeling confident in myself and in my ability to deliver a perfect work product and to make a go of this new venture and ultimately to become a successful coach for young adults. Dear Joshua, any advice would be most appreciated. Meanwhile, I will continue reading your books, the website, and listen to the weekly podcast, which I enjoy immensely. Thanks, Alette.
Okay, so hi, Alette. You're probably listening to this now. You didn't know that you're going to be famous, did you? So this is interesting because to me, um, when I do real estate, I'm identifying a house right now that I want to buy, and so I'll bring in investors. It's priced at 1.1 million. It's probably worth 1. It'll probably go for like 1.25 or 275, and fixed up it's worth 2.6. So I have to show investors what's sold that's been fixed up, why this house is so special, and the cost to fix it up, right? And the investors never believe me. They always think that I'm overestimating the repaired value and underestimating the cost. So I do sometimes I do a really good job. I go all out and present it to them, and sometimes I just wing it or leave out stuff, just because I just don't prepare enough. Um, and I don't really care. I don't have this thing where it matters that much to me if I do a good job at this or not, even though it probably makes a big difference whether they buy the house or not. So, and I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing anyway, but I guess it's the fact that I'm not a perfectionist. And maybe it's that thing about being a perfectionist is in there for people. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. I can speak from that perspective because I used to be a perfectionist and I've changed so much along my journey here. And I remember, even my big job in Manhattan and coming down here and covering, South Florida as a territory, I always felt like for some reason I was always used as like the shining example, or they say,
Uh-huh.
hey, stick a feather in your cap. I always used to think back then, even though in looking back now, I did a fabulous job, and yeah, it was above and beyond. But in the time when I was doing it, I felt like I was almost scamming them. Like they thought so much more of me than I was actually really worth or doing. I just couldn't
Right.
believe this.
Now
And
I
it
think,
wasn't. Mhm.
yeah, I think that's a universal thing too.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that's an unsettling feeling because I mean, I'm a person of integrity and honesty, so that was an unsettling feeling for me to think like, wow, do I have them snowballed? Because that's basically what I thought. I was just like, but then as I got older and I realized, you know what, when you walk with confidence and you walk forward and doing what you're doing with a good heart and in the best possible way you can do, and you wake up each day and share your gift to the best of your ability, all of a sudden you adopt this feeling of confidence, and then you feel like, you know what, you feel good about yourself. And Gary, I agree with you. You care less about what other people think of you. That's kind of
Right.
to the point I am. I still get great compliments and I appreciate them, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't define who I am or what I'm
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and in the legal area, people, both employers and clients, can be very critical too. So at certain times in my career, I've incorporated those criticisms. Either I believed something, blew something out of proportion, or became so fearful about any mistakes that I could make or any imperfections that I could be involved with, that at times I became, especially earlier in my career, I found it to be a very paralyzing sort of fear. I
Hmm.
remember when I joined, I was a tax attorney at a big firm that no longer exists, by the way. May they rest in peace. Uh,
Michael.
almost 30 years ago, or rest in pieces, as the case may be. Uh, they died in the middle of the financial crisis. I was long gone. Uh, but I remember I was in the tax department, and I remember I was, basically making assessments on these mortgage-backed securities deals
Mm.
on the tax side. And I remember thinking, with millions and millions of dollars worth of, mortgages in them, or, millions and millions of dollars at stake in some way or another. And I remember thinking to myself, what idiot put this 25-year-old who knows nothing in charge of making decisions on these things.
Yeah.
I was, I was losing sleep at various points, saying, "Are these people idiots or what?
Yeah.
Why are they putting me in charge? I don't know anything. I went to law school. Law school teaches you how, basically, in quotes, teaches you how to think. It doesn't teach you anything about the real world."
Right. Yeah.
and, and sometimes that fear, self-fear, or criticisms that I had heard throughout my life became paralyzing fears.
Well,
So I get it too. It's
yeah.
that sense that, boy, am I really that good an imposter? Am I really that good a con artist?
Yeah.
But also too, don't you feel like if someone projected something onto you in the past, like I know I did, like say they weren't happy with the job, or because you run into those negative situations. Back then, I would like look at it like, what can I do to make it better, or what did I do
Mm-hmm.
wrong? Now, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, that's their perspective. What's going on with them today? I kind of
Right.
like project it back because I already know I put my all into it. So
Good.
I totally shifted my perspective and how I look at that situation. I always look at what's going on with them in their life.
And
Well,
that's perfect.
yeah, I mean, I've also learned, at the end of the day, that even the most brilliant person in any field is going to make mistakes. And the question, yes, we work hard to avoid them,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, if the mistake's made, you do what you can to remedy it.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're talking from our human perspective on this subject. Let's see what Joshua has to say.
You got it.
Okay,
Which is the most interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if it's similar to what we're saying or if it's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dear Alette, when you feel unease with an assignment at work, it is simply because you are looking at it from a perspective that is out of alignment with who you really are. You think it is possible to get it wrong or do a bad job. You think you may fail. You believe you'll be criticized for doing work that is less than perfect. You believe that all of this is real, that it's all important, and that it really matters. One of your great attributes is that you care so deeply. This is the root of your problem. You're a perfectionist who is taking this all too seriously.
Right. Because she's taking it seriously because a criticism is attacking her persona of who she is, right? And so she fears any criticism against that persona, but the persona is just made up. It's not really who you really are. If if you were a being of pure positive love, who you really are, without any fear, then nobody could criticize you because it would just fall off you like drips of water.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and just as an aside, the fear is often the fear that, in some manner, not only are people going to see through you or see your mistakes or see your imperfections, but it'll lead to you getting fired. And that as a result, in some manner, it's threatening your, not only your persona, but your existence in some way.
Well,
And,
if you're
and it's an irrational fear.
yeah, because if you're confident, you don't care if you get fired because you know you get another job. It's no big deal. But this is more about, I think, about the persona. But let's go on to the next paragraph and see where it goes.
Okay. There is nothing you need to get right because you cannot get it wrong. You cannot fail. You cannot produce results below the expectations of those in your work. You are the only critical one, and you are the only one who could ever judge your work to be less than the expectations. It is not possible for you to fail in this or any other environment. You do not require that experience, therefore it is out of the realm of possibility for you. If you required the experience of failure, then that would have entered your reality long ago. You fear something that is not a part of your reality, and therefore you have nothing to fear.
So this is an interesting thing. Joshua was saying that we come here for certain experiences, and but we by watching what's happening to other people, we think that we might experience something that's so unwanted to us that we fear it, but it's just not going to happen for us. Um, you know, so there's people who have all kinds of experiences that may be, may it be going to jail or getting an illness or losing a loved one or becoming homeless, you know, and that's not part of that experience. Um, so she doesn't really have to worry about it. Now, this is hard to believe too, though, because you see it happening to other people and you think it can happen to you. All right, go ahead for the next paragraph.
Right. Knowing this, that you cannot fail, does it give you any more confidence? No? Then we will talk a bit more. We will convince you of your abilities. Do you know how you are worthy? You are. Do you know you are unique to all the world? You are. Did you know your ultimate uniqueness and worthiness means that as long as you are being true to who you really are, then you can never fail? This is true.
So then, by her having this fear of not doing a good enough job, she's denying who she really is. And who she really is one who cannot fail. So the irony is that the lack of confidence is the only possibility of failure. But if she really knew the power that she had inside her, that if she really could see how other people view her, which you can't see, it's hard for her to see herself. It's sort of like the person that thinks is super skinny but thinks they're overweight, eating disorders and stuff like that.
Right.
They can't see how thin they are. To them, it really looks like they're fat. I'm the other way. I think I'm really thin. I can't see all this chunks on my stomach.
Gary,
there.
you're so funny.
It's perfect. Perfect.
I
Because
love
every
it.
time I look in a mirror, I suck it in.
Gary,
You go, I look good when you look in
I
the
look
mirror.
good.
Gary, you're perfect just the way you are.
And I
Yeah.
have this other side of the confidence thing. But so here is Joshua saying that if you are really following your passion and doing what you're doing, you can't fail. Even if people perceive you as, based on their perception of something, it's their problem, not your problem. And I know that we're talking about a super practical thing of work, but you sort of have to have this leap of faith that if you're doing what you're enjoying, if you're doing the best you can, you simply cannot fail because you're in that environment for a reason. You got there. Somehow you are a vibrational match to where you are, unless you lied to get there, and even if you did lie to get there, you're probably doing fine until you have this insecurity that brings you down.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I was about to say, in my most positive moments, I've taken the attitude that if someone else can do something, I can do it too.
Absolutely.
And you know what? When I've taken those attitudes on just about anything I've tried, it's worked.
I was telling you,
Although you may not want me to be your neurosurgeon.
Steve has a pool table in his house, and he's an excellent pool player. And people who have pool tables in their houses are usually good pool players. And I was going to a friend of my wife's for the first time to their house and saw their pool table and didn't think we were going to play, but just told him, I am probably one of the greatest pool players you'll ever meet. And I was just being funny, and making it up. He goes, yeah, I was saying I've won all these awards and stuff and won all these big tournaments. And he's going, well, then we have to play. And so I just kept pretending I was the greatest pool player, and I creamed him. And he was just so amazed that he thought I was the best pool player ever. And then the next time I came over, we played and he won. He's like, oh, you're just letting me win.
All right, Gary, when you come here for dinner, I challenge you.
All right, good. I bet you.
We'll start calling you Florida Skinny, Gary.
Yeah. Me and Steve were playing for $100 a game at his house. We're putting $100
Whoa.
bills, so all the family was watching, but we were just, you had to play until it evened up.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
but anyway, yeah, so faking confidence works too,
Yep.
by the way. Okay.
Okay.
So next one.
Some people come here to experience homelessness, poverty, illness, and many other unseemingly unwanted experiences. They want the expansion gained from such experiences. However, you are not here for that kind of experience, and therefore your well-being is secure. You are interested in moving out of fear and into love. You are interested in claiming your confidence. You are interested in moving through insecurity and doubt and seeing what's on the other side. For you, this experience will be exhilarating.
The emotion of moving through fear is exhilaration. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's like driving with Steve.
Yeah. And it's
Or-
I'm
or-
going to come back out there, Steve, because I didn't get the opportunity, but next time I'm not going to miss it.
Oh my God, you have to handle a lot of fear in that one, and that's super rational fear, by the way. There's nothing irrational about that fear, but it's so fun.
I know I have confidence in Steve though,
Yeah,
just because
you
I
have
know it's
to
his thing.
see confidence overcomes fear.
There you
And when I was
Absolutely.
driving around those hairpin curves with the cliff on the left side, traffic oncoming at several hundred miles an hour, I was thinking, you know what? I think he's a good driver, and this is a good car. We should be fine.
Right.
That's the only
Well,
thing kept me going.
right. It's
That's what I
like what
kept thinking.
or like what I said. I think it was last week when I went before the appellate division, and I made a big argument. And you know what? You walk in, no one walks in without at least having some jitters or some butterflies in their stomach. But I was confident, and I remember, it was a fabulous experience. I was loving every minute of it, and it flew.
Yeah, so that's when you know you're right, not only in the zone, but you're doing something that you're passionate about,
Exactly.
like this show. So keep going. Let's go
You
quickly.
got it. Your insecurities, which we see as relatively minor, are quite limiting. They are based on some rather limiting beliefs about yourself. These beliefs limit your experience of life. They limit what you do and how you express yourself. You cannot be completely who you are while harboring these limiting beliefs. All limiting beliefs are based in irrational fear. Find the fear behind each belief, prove it false, and the belief will be reduced in its intensity. Once you've reduced a limiting belief and shed a little fear, you've moved towards love, and your world will shift to match your new perspective.
So your vibration is this combination of thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And the beliefs part of it is limiting beliefs and beneficial beliefs. The beneficial beliefs support who you really are, where you want to go, what you really want out of life. And the limiting beliefs limit you, limit your experience of life. We all have limiting beliefs, and those with the fewest limiting beliefs run for president, and the rest of us are holding ourselves back at some part of it. So when you prove to yourself that a limiting belief is false, and all limiting beliefs are false, you find evidence. Like for instance, Lily. She says her whole life, I want to be an interior designer, but I don't have an interior design license or education or anything, and so I can't do it. So that was limiting what she really wanted to do. And then eventually she raised her vibration high enough through Abraham, and then she said, screw it, I'm going to be a designer. And now we go on design appointments together all the time, and we're totally redoing people's houses without any education in it at all because she doesn't need any. She's brilliant at it.
She's channeling it.
Well, I guess you're channeling everything that you're passionate about, right? You're getting these
Absolutely.
ideas that are
Right.
coming to you, and you see things that other people can't see because you're at this vibration. And when you put stuff together, they are amazed. And I'm pretty good at arranging furniture, while Lily's really good at colors and fabrics and stuff like that. So I'll go into the house and I'll move the furniture around, and they're like, "Oh my god, I never even thought of that before. It was so much more nicer." And it's just having a little confidence in what you're doing, or liking what you're doing too.
Exactly. In Lily's case, I've seen her in action, and she's so sweet as it is, but her best self just shines on through. The excitement, the passion, the joy. I can see the joy in her eyes as she's showing me, all the different things that she's up to.
Yeah. And
She's following her passion for sure.
She is, and
it
she's
shows.
super confident. And if someone picks out a fabric, what do you think about this? It would be easy, and probably what a lot of designers do, say, yeah, that's great. But Lily will go, no, that doesn't work at all. Because keep going, let's find something else. And then they find, oh, this is it. It's obvious. This is the perfect thing. And the people are like, oh my God, that's right. But they, and then she puts it all together in the furniture. Unbelievable. But she had to get over that limiting belief. She proved to herself it was false by saying examples of all these other people who were just popping up in her life who had no design experience and yet were very successful designers, and not even half as good as. And then there were a ton of super famous designers, and she's looking at them going, "I would never do that. I would never do that. That doesn't make any sense. That's so old-fashioned." That sort of thing. And so, and then also watching HGTV and how the modern movement of colors coming through. And she embraces that far more than any designer that we really know. So it's pretty cool. All right.
That
Next
is cool. Yep.
paragraph.
When you feel negative emotion, the pit in your stomach, that's your sign that you are using a limited perspective. Your inner self knows the true story. You are substituting the true story for a version which says you're not good enough, not prepared enough, not worthy enough. This story is false, and your inner self is letting you know by sending you the negative emotion.
All right. So the negative emotion, you're looking at something from a perspective that doesn't serve you. It's a perspective that is um, not aligned with what your inner self knows about you. So you need to look for another perspective until you feel better, because that perspective is off.
Right.
Okay. Next one.
So, what are you to do when you feel negative emotion? Imagine if you had a friend with you, and as soon as you felt bad, your friend said, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't look at the situation like that. That is not the way it is. Here is the real situation. Let me show you the truth." You would stop in your tracks and discontinue your line of thought. You would change your perspective. Well, that is exactly what your inner self is saying whenever you feel negative emotion.
I love this paragraph because I think we've all been in situations like that where we're, feeling down on ourselves, and a friend is there like, "What's your problem?" You know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, in the words of the Supremes, stop in the name of love.
Um, yeah. So, if you've ever broken up with someone when you were younger, and your friends are like, forget her, let's go on and find somebody else. It's that sort of same thing. You're, or even when you're, you know, have an apparent failure somewhere along the line, people are picking you up. Well, that's what your inner self is doing.
Because it's so much easier when you're caught in the middle of it, right? You can't see it. You don't see it, and everybody else, it's easy for them to see what you're going through and how
It's
it's yeah.
right, and they want to take you away from that perspective that you have. I mean, that's the first thing everyone does is they, don't look at it like that. This is going to work out. Don't worry about it. And and as soon as you feel get better, it's because you're starting to see it from their perspective, which they can see better than you can. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh, absolutely. And there's always a positive in any situation that we may perceive as being bad anyway.
absolutely.
Well, it's
And
all happening for you.
it's all happening for you. You don't know, and that's the thing you got to think of.
That's right. I worked umpteen years ago for this female solo practitioner, and she was kind of the Murphy Brown of the profession. Secretaries would run out crying midday. It was a crazy situation. I set an endurance record from being with her for a year and a half. But while I was there, not only did I learn things, but eventually, through being there, through enduring, basically, I met my wife.
Yeah, look at that.
So,
Yeah,
from situations that we don't, we see as darker, there's usually, in fact, always, there's a reason why we're there.
hmm absolutely.
Okay, let me go back to Joshua now.
Okay.
Don't feel bad when you feel bad. Think of it as a nudge letting you know that you're off track. Think about your limiting perspective and look at the subject in whatever way makes you feel better. As soon as you've found a higher perspective, you feel relief. That is the sign that you have realigned yourself with who you really are and what you really want.
So it's interesting to see that getting to feel good is just a super important part of our life. And you don't have to feel bad that you had this negative emotion. Just think of it as a nudge. You know, I think that when I was younger, I certainly wallowed in self pity and tried to even make it worse and worse and worse so that I would get sympathy from other people. But and isn't that a weird thing that you would want to try and just keep things feeling bad and uh, and be around that and then not want to feel good as quickly as possible?
Well, people engage in pity parties.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, it's a running joke about pessimism in my family.
Uh huh.
And I've literally seen people in my family go, "Oh yeah, well I'll show you. I've got it worse than." And it's this funny thing, and there's almost a momentum to it, and then people, and then it gets competitive, and it's crazy.
I think it's something about being Jewish too. I worked in a Jewish deli all through college, and the guys were like, never talk about anything good, because if you talk about good things, bad things will happen right after it.
Well, that's my mother with the kanahara, which is the Italian jinx or the evil eye,
Uh
et
huh.
cetera, et
Yep.
cetera.
Yep.
Heaven forbid you say something good because that means that something bad will happen
Right.
to put you back in your place.
So that's built into the fabric of society. That idea that you shouldn't be talking about good things.
Right.
It's sort of amazing.
It is.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me go to the next paragraph. It doesn't matter what you do. You can do anything you want. You will always be fully capable of any challenge you undertake as long as you realize how the system really works. You have access to infinite intelligence when you feel aligned, when you feel good, when you feel confident. Thoughts and ideas will come to you just as you need them, and you can do anything. You don't create the thoughts, you attract the thoughts that already exist. You become aligned with higher level thoughts by feeling good. When you feel fear, you lower your vibration and cut yourself off from access to most higher vibrational thoughts and ideas. When you feel insecure, you do yourself a disservice. When you feel confident, as you must by now, you become connected to infinite intelligence.
All right. So now we know why it's so important to feel good. When you feel good, you're at a higher vibration and you have access to higher level vibrational thoughts and ideas. When you feel bad, you cut off access to that. And really, what comes up for you in your thoughts are thoughts that match how you're feeling, which is if you're angry, it might be punching a wall. I did that one time. I hit my head on my um, lid of my SUV going up, and then I punched it.
Ooh,
I made a dent in it, hurt the hell out of my hand, and made a dent in my own car. It was so stupid, but that was a thought that I thought would make me feel better. You know, so but by being confident, you get access to these thoughts and ideas that are available only from that higher emotional state of being of confidence. And that's why it's so important to feel good and feel confident, because then you get this cycle of having access to thoughts that feel better, and more ideas flow, and then you do a better job, and more ideas flow, and then you feel more confident, and things just spiral in this great momentum towards higher and higher levels of achievement and success, and then you work, and then you'll be so confident at work, you'll be like, this work is too easy, I need a bigger paying higher job, and then you'll get into that insecurity again, and you'll have to break through that and go on, and it's never ending.
The
Okay.
self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever, if you're not confident, you're going to feel not confident and spiral down, or if you feel confident, you'll spiral up.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy is another way of saying law of attraction.
Yep.
Yep.
right.
All right, last paragraph.
Okay. You are a very high vibrational being. When you read this answer, your vibration will raise even further. You have come into vibrational resonance with us. Very few people on Earth are at this level. You know more about the powers of the universe and the mechanism of physical reality than almost everyone else. You know that there is no real reason to feel insecure about anything. You are supported by more non-physical guides, teachers, and supporters than you could ever imagine. You are loved and cared for. You are not in this alone. We are all in it together. Think about that level of support, and you will never feel anxious again. If it feels right or exciting, or fun, or interesting, you can do anything without worry or fear. With love, we are Joshua.
So there you are. um, you are supported by so much more than you can think, that if you're interested in it, if it's exciting, if it's fun, it's for you. If you're there, you're at the vibration of it anyway. You've already matched it. So it doesn't do any good to feel insecure that you might lose it. You can't lose anything. Even if you did lose it, it would be a gateway to something even better, as long as you were allowing what you want to come to you by not engaging in this bunch of negativity or worry or doubt or stress. This kind of question came up 6 times for me this week. 4 questions and 2 people that I talked to. Another friend, we were at a party, and she has a really big job doing accounting at a huge company. And she's in charge of the accounting. It's a gigantically big job. And phenomenal company. She loves the place. They're super profitable, great to their employees. Everyone loves working there. They love her, think she's the best thing in the world. And she has a big staff, right? But she feels so much pressure to perform. She has 2 little kids. She's at work so much, it's like robbing her. She has no time, just robbing her time from the kids and all this stuff. And she knows all about this stuff. I mean, she knows Joshua. She's asked questions before and listened to the show and reads the books and everything. And she can't get out of this feeling of having to do everything and be all that there is. And all these 6 questions were from women, which I thought was interesting. Maybe men just don't talk about it. But they probably feel the same thing and they're just not talking about it. But it is interesting that she was unable to take herself away from, spending time with her family and put so much into this job because she's, I guess, so concerned about doing the best job possible.
Well, and she probably.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
I was about to say, and she's probably also concerned that she maintains the job that she's put so much into, and that she's using to provide whatever lifestyle she's providing for her family.
I would say she's not really worried about that because her husband makes good money. They don't live over their means, and she can get a job anywhere in the world. She's like that kind of person, right? She can work
I'm
for
not
anybody.
at all surprised that these questions all came from women, because I can definitely relate to not only Alette but also your friend. There's a balance. When a woman is a full-time working mom as well, there's such a balance. And I do think it affects men too, but maybe they don't talk about it as much. But especially with women, and as a mom, there's that delicate balance that you need to find. And, they say you can't be all things to all people sometimes. And that's the whole thing. We're trying to be the best at work, but we need to be the best mom we could possibly be, because that's really our number one job. And so it's a tricky situation. It's not easy, but I will say you can find a balance.
That's why she's so stressed out, because she's just knows she's not spending enough time with her kids who are young, and missing that time when they're little kids is a big deal.
Yeah, and I truly feel if she feels that way, then she should tap into that and discover a way to spend more time with her children.
Well, I think that if she listens to what Joshua was saying here, is that the only one that she's not living up to expectations is herself. And if she could just relax about that and allow people to do their job that work for her, it's a big issue people have with delegation.
Oh, Gary, it's so funny. I was just going to say that I didn't learn, even as a manager, I thought to have it done perfectly when I was younger, I had to do it myself.
Right.
But, oh, wow, is it empowering when you figure out, a really good manager knows how to delegate and knows exactly who knows how to do that job to the best of their ability. And you know what? You look better as a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I learned that later in life. I wish I learned it earlier.
When I first had my appraisal company, I did most of the appraisals myself. I had a secretary, and then I hired a friend and I taught him, and I was so hard on him to be perfect, and I reviewed every little thing he did. And then by the time we had 40 people, I'm like, I just let everyone do their, I let the supervisors manage the new people who managed the intermediate people who trained the new people, and I let the whole thing run and made so much money, had such less problems. All this perfection that I was trying to get out of one appraisal was not important. It was minute bull crap that didn't matter. It was old school stuff that I carried along from when I first became an appraiser. The new stuff didn't matter as much, and nobody cared about little things like that. They just wanted the value there and to support it and make sure it met these guidelines. And as long as that was done, that's all that was necessary. And we just cranked them out, and we made so much money, and life was great. We had a lot of fun. So letting people go and them being, successful too, letting them shine, that's really important as well. Because if you're micromanaging everybody anyway or doing it all yourself, they're never going to be able to blossom. That's my personal Gary Bodley experience.
Oh, I totally agree. One of my last positions, I would have to manage 100 people on a daily basis. And I was I had a main office, but I was between 5 offices and also on location at different schools. And my boss said to me, because when it came time for an appreciation once a year where you appreciate those that help you, that volunteer for you, I really gave credit to so many people that assisted me all year long. And I pointed out all their special talents and abilities and thanked them for them. And I gave flowers out and awards and certificates. And my boss turned to me. He said, "Are you sure you want to give them the credit for that?" I said, "Absolutely." I felt so good doing that.
Yeah.
You know what? And then at the end of the day, they looked back at me because at least I had the wherewithal to figure out who had what talent and ability. And Gary, like you said, let them shine in doing that job, and they felt great about it. So I had to interview over 400 people. I'm one person.
Wow.
How do I interview 400 people?
Right.
So I found the perfect person to interview with me. I found the perfect person. I'm a people person. So my favorite thing isn't to push papers and file and do all that. I feel like it's like a waste of my time, to be honest. I know that might sound whatever, but I found someone that totally enjoys doing that did the A to Z system perfectly, and it's just finding the right people and letting them shine in doing their part. And it all works out.
Yeah. Steve, I was thinking about you. Here you are in a techie at your company, and people really don't know what you do or how you do it. They just want the results done.
Yes.
How does that work out for you? How do you feel, confident or insecure with what you're doing?
I've always, for whatever reason, felt confident in my abilities. So that I guess I didn't relate necessarily to Alette's feeling of not having confidence. I guess it's strange because I'm usually insecure about a lot of things.
Mhm.
But my abilities, technically speaking, have not been one of it. I guess that's the one thing I feel pretty good about, and I've just been lucky, I guess. It comes easy.
Yeah. On the cruise, they had a projector and hooked up to a computer, and we could do our PowerPoint. And it worked when we tested it, and then right before we were to go on, it wasn't working. So I just left the room, and I go, I know Steve's going to take care of this. Because if you didn't take care of it, it would have been totally a different sort of situation. And everyone else had a problem either with the microphone or with the projector, and most people couldn't do the projections because it just didn't work. But you got it to work. It was amazing. And
Yeah,
I
it
had
was interesting.
complete confidence in you.
When it came up, I thought, because I always see everything that comes up as not having anything to do with my abilities or anything like that. It has to do with the vibration that's going on, right?
Right.
And I thought, wow, this is interesting. This could potentially be bad, right? If
Right.
you get going. But I just tried to smile and go, it's everything's happening for us, so no matter what, it's going to be good. And then things start working. So
and it's so interesting too because in the past I would have been freaking out about it and stressing over it and and trying to manage the situation. And I just left the room and said it's going to take care of itself, and it did.
See, Gary, you had that confidence level, and there was another seminar that Steve couldn't make, and I was just like, oh, I wish Steve was here. I know he would make it better. He would make this happen. Like, I have the confidence in Steve. Not only does Steve have the confidence, but you do too, Gary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, I am starting a new company at this point, branching out on my own, and I think for the first time, I have this. I notice it's different working for somebody else than doing it for myself. I have a slightly different perspective on it. Like, well, now it's like for real.
Yeah. That's interesting too. I can imagine. Yeah. When it's for someone else, hey, That's their business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, it's not that big a thing.
Oh my God, that's
So
so
this will be a
Gary,
cool.
we were
fun
talking
adventure.
just a little bit before the show, uh, how our vibrations have changed since this cruise,
Uh-huh.
and it's a wonderful thing. So when Jules puts together another one, I would encourage as many people, like-minded people, to join in.
Yeah, so we're working on this next cruise, which Deborah Joe is a cruise phenom. She's going to figure it out. We're going to get on a better ship, a new ship, and get good food, and have 200 people there. And it's going to be
Wow.
unbelievable. So we're working on speakers right now. And so I just talked to Jeanette Ma at Good Vibe Blog, and she's interested in being a part of it too. And she's really fabulous. If you guys have listened to her blog, it's really cool. Or
That's
read her
great.
blog. Yeah.
Glad to
So
hear that.
that's going to be sometime in, hopefully October would be nice, I think. Maybe sometime around then. So we'll keep everyone posted on that, but I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, every time, I think, obviously the first time that I went to that 2-day Abraham seminar in Asheville, my vibration was raised so much that it hooked both Lily and I into our passions. And then I remember going to a 5-day land cruise in Cancun where the whole resort was taken up by Abraham people. There must have been 500-600 there. And it was just the most incredible feeling of just sheer joy and energy the whole time, where everyone you looked at, had the same philosophy about life, and so you could easily meet people. Everyone was open, and we were in such a high vibration that it affected the staff. And the staff were like, "This is the most fun we've ever had in any period of working here," because it was the week before there was another whole separate group. So it was 10 straight days, 5-day trips, and some of the people stayed for the next 5 days, by the way, too. And it was the most powerful, unbelievable thing. And I came back from that, and just like the cruise too, I came back and I was in this state of bliss and joy for like a week afterwards. It was so much fun. It was just the whole power and energy of it was incredible. And then just breakthrough things happen. And then this time, the breakthrough thing was that Joshua spoke for the first time, which was unbelievable to me. If
Hmm.
everyone wants to hear a snippet of Joshua, they can go to the website and just do a contact and say you want to hear what Joshua sounds like, and I'll email it to you and probably some point put some of them up on the website. But it was really, when all those people who listened to it heard it, it was like, yeah, this is something, a whole new level.
It was very cool.
Yeah, because it sounded a lot different than me. Obviously my voice, but it was, just
It
had the.
did.
And
We all knew that was coming to pass. It
I
would
didn't
come
know
to
it.
pass. I just
I
didn't
had
know
no idea.
when, and what a perfect time for it to come to you on that cruise.
Yeah, and Jules was saying that, being in the presence of Abraham, you feel that energy. I don't know if you guys have felt it, but I totally feel
Hmm.
it
Yes.
when I'm in that room.
Yes.
And Jules was saying that it was the same thing. She could feel the energy of Joshua there, which is going to be fun to do. So hopefully by the time the cruise comes along, I'll have practiced enough of this that we could actually do an Abraham style workshop where we have a hot seat and asking questions on stage.
Oh, that'd be great.
The
How
nice,
exciting.
Yeah,
yeah,
really.
the thing about the one-on-one program works really good because people get a chance to um, ask questions, get their answer, and then ask follow-up questions and get their answers and follow up, and it's a conversation. In a normal Joshua setting where someone sends in one question like a let's, there's a lot of information in here, but there's no back and forth, right? And in a hot seat situation, you can bring out a little bit more of what the person's really feeling and what they're talking about, and that's a whole different dynamic. And it's fun to watch too. So you can put them on YouTube and everyone can watch them. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
yeah, I do that. I actually listen to those videos of when Abraham is speaking when I'm at work.
Uh huh.
Just to have it in the background, and
Uh
sometimes I'll
huh.
catch snippets of it, and it's just a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah, and I think that It's like a vibration raising exercise in itself. But have you been to a live one, Michael?
No, I haven't.
She won't go to New York, which is interesting. She avoids New York.
Why does
But
she avoid New York?
I don't know. There's a lot of skeptical people there, a lot of cynicism in New York.
A little.
And she, as opposed to Asheville. But she does go to Boston.
I was going to say traveling to the Biltmore isn't a bad deal.
My God, that is the best place to be. It's always in the fall, so the leaves are turning. The Biltmore estate is unbelievable, and Asheville itself is really a cool town. So you should go to that one. But any of the one-day ones are fine too. But I've brought people to that to the Asheville one, and this happens a lot. I don't know if I should say it happens a lot, but I've noticed it, that there's such a vibration change, just like we were saying earlier, that when you move from one vibration to another, you get maybe ill or something happens, like physically. And I think before the show, Steve was talking about the body's maybe is shedding some of that energy, that negative energy or whatever it is, or that leftover stuff, and you feel it. But a couple friends I've taken after that Asheville, which is a really powerful one, got sick afterwards. And after the Cancun one, the minute I got home, I got sick. That's interesting.
Yeah. And look at it from a positive light. You shed that, and then you're like this new flower or whatever that's now ready
Only
for
now am I thinking that way. But back then I was thinking, if I was at this high vibration, how did I catch this bug? And I was being hard on myself for catching it, which I was saying I should be invincible. I'm at this high vibration. And what I'm seeing now is when I go through these just different stages, that the body reacts, sheds itself, and you feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
I think you're ready for the vibration you're at. Hey, you guys.
Maybe I could have got more out of the cruise. And I just feel like I've been on a natural high since I came back.
You were in this high vibration anyway. You were in this energy. But yeah, I didn't feel anything bad after this cruise either. I felt good the whole time.
Yeah, I guess each experience is different.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at and, in your life and what you're working towards and on.
Of course.
What's the time, you guys?
We got about less than a minute.
Okay. So I'll wrap this one up. And by saying that it's fantastic to have everyone on the panel with me today. You guys are great. We're getting people are writing in and saying how much they enjoy the show, which is so much fun to hear. We have no idea how many people are listening to the show. We're thinking it's around 7.8 million people, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
Yep. You can listen to the show anytime. There's always on iTunes, and we're putting them on YouTube. So anytime you want to listen to the show, you go back. You can listen to old episodes. We're going to keep doing this every week. We have fun doing it. This is our passion. It goes by felt like it was 15 minutes that we did this.
We love this, folks.
Anyone who wants to ask Joshua a question, please do so. It's free. Go to theteachingsofjoshua.com, and there's a section that says Ask Joshua. You can also read a bunch of other questions and answers from other people. We try and post as many of those as we can. And if anyone's interested in doing the one-on-one program, that's a higher level thing. It's life-changing, as Steve would tell you. So until next week, we'll think of a new topic for next week. If anyone has a suggestion, please send it in. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and we will see you again next week. Goodbye, all.
Bye, Gary. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Teachings of Joshua Roundtable with Gary Temple Bodley. We will be back next week with another fun discussion. If you would like to ask Joshua a question or read more of Joshua's teachings, please visit us at theteachingsofjoshua.com. See you next week.